You can just do A.
Discuss about divorce at the time of Jesus. King Herod and Herodias. King Herod married with brother's wife.
So both of them divorced. King Herod divorced his wife and then married Herodias. Herodias divorced her husband and she married brother-in-law. So John the Baptist points out it is unlawful for you to marry your brother's wife. And John the Baptist was beheaded. John the Baptist was killed. So it was very sensitive to mention about divorce and remarriage in this kingdom. So it's just about 2-3 years ago, John the Baptist was killed because of this. Okay, B.
Deuteronomy 24:1. If a man marries a woman who becomes displeasing to him because he finds something indecent about her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, and if after she leaves his house she becomes the wife of another man, and her second husband dislikes her and writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her and sends her from his house, or if he dies, then her first husband, who divorced her, is not allowed to marry her again after she has been defiled. That would be detestable in the eyes of the Lord. Do not bring sin upon the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the rightful reason that husband can divorce a woman that Moses gave in the Deuteronomy? What's the
Indecent.
Something indecent. And then other translation, some uncleanness. Something indecent, some uncleanness. So here adultery is not included for the reason of divorce, because adultery is death. So death. And then these are the reasons, rightful reasons, that husband can divorce his wife. At that time, woman did not have right to divorce. It was only man. Only man had the right to divorce his wife. So what could be something indecent, something uncleanness? At that time, there are two different interpretations. Interpretation of the followers of Rabbi Hillel. His interpretation was anything that displeases her husband, he can divorce her. Anything. Her cooking wasn't good, or she doesn't clean the house well. She didn't calm down baby, or doesn't take care of, things well, then husband could divorce her. That's the interpretation of Rabbi Hillel. Interpretation of followers Rabbi Shimmai. This is only husband find the wife had premarital sex, like before they got married, after he married, and he found out she was not virgin, then that's the only time he can divorce her. So that they have a complete interpretation. But the many husbands who want to get rid of a wife, they were happy to follow the first interpretation.
Of course.
See, woman didn't have any financial ability, or so they were really kind of afraid to be divorced by husband, scared. So it was.
So woman is like, slave to the husband.
Yeah.
To survive in marriage.
I mean, she has to really struggle, be careful, trying to please her husband. She is displeased. When he is displeased, then he could divorce. I didn't like it. Question 2.
What question did the Pharisees ask Jesus? Chapter 10, verse 2. Some Pharisees came and tested him by asking, "It is lawful for a man to divorce his wife?"
Yeah.
Lawful.
Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife? Question 3.
Why does this question test Jesus? If Jesus answered no to divorce.
So this question was designed. Either way, Jesus will be in trouble. Either way, in trouble. So if Jesus answered no to divorce, why is Jesus going to be in trouble? If Jesus answered yes to divorce, why Jesus would be in trouble?
If Jesus answered no, and then it's against the Moses law.
Right, yeah, against the Moses law. So they can arrest Jesus right away. If Jesus say yes to divorce, why Jesus would be in trouble? Immediately?
Because of love, should he prove he doesn't have any love or mercy?
See, even at that time, divorce was very, very prohibited, And so Jesus say yes to divorce, then Jesus wouldn't be like a prophet, wouldn't be like a holy God's servant. And then there will be some people who really don't want to divorce, who really want to hang on their marriage, But they can use it. Jesus said yes to divorce. And then many rabbis, their followers, will be against Jesus. And then many husbands will use this one, Jesus' answer, to support their divorce. So either way, Jesus is in trouble. Question 4.
In response, what did Jesus ask them? What Bible says? What God says? What Moses said? Oh, this. What did Moses command you? So Jesus asked, go back to Moses.
Mm-hmm. So what did Moses command you? And then Jesus asked them, which is Deuteronomy 24 verse 1 through 4 we just read. And then question 5. So Jesus didn't say yes or no. He asked them, what did Moses command you? And then question 5.
The Pharisees answered their own question. Why couldn't they trap Jesus with their question? They answered, Moses permitted a man to write a certificate of divorce and send her away.
Yeah. See, they asked Jesus, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife? And then they answer themselves. They said, Moses permitted a man to write a certificate of divorce and send her away. They ask a question and they answer the So, why couldn't they trap Jesus with their question?
Because Pharisees follow Moses' law first. So the question is already there, and actually they follow Moses' laws. So, clear.
Actually, we can discuss this at the end, but I put it here so that we can have a think about it, and at the end of this Bible study, we can answer this question. Answer. So we leave it to the. We will do it end. So they couldn't trap Jesus. Question 6.
Why did Moses permit divorce? It was because your hearts were hard that Moses wrote to you this law, Jesus replied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the beginning, when God, established marriage, there was nothing like a divorce. But Moses had to permit divorce because hardness of a man. Man's heart was, or woman's heart was hard. So they ended up no way but divorce. It was not God's original intention for marriage life, but because men are simple, women are simple, it's a concession. It's a concession to the hardness of a man. Let's read Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. Gospel Matthew chapter 19, verse 9.
Verse 9. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for marital unfaithfulness, and marries another woman commits adultery.
Yeah. Except for marital unfaithfulness. So, one of either wife or either husband commit adultery, and then it's allowed to divorce. Question 7.
Who is the origin of marriage? Adam and Hawa, Eve. 10:6. Mark 10:6.
Who created?
No,
Who established?
God created. God is the origin of marriage.
Yeah. God started marriage. God established marriage. Marriage is God's design. marriage came from God, God's design of human life. So this is Genesis chapter 2. What was the purpose of establishing marriage? Why God, established the marriage life? What's the purpose? You can go back Genesis chapter 2 and then think about why God had the marriage life.
Suitable helper.
Helper.
So man is alone is not how do you say, not stable. Not stable.
So God said that Adam was lonely. When God saw Adam was lonely, Adam couldn't find any suitable partner among the monkeys and gorillas and the animals. So it was suitable helper. Adam was working for God to do God's will. So helper to serve God together. Helper to serve God together. What else? Adam was lonely, so God, it wasn't good to see him alone. So it was happiness. Happiness of man. And then woman. Happiness of man, woman. And then through this, God said, be fruitful and multiply in number. So through this, God wanted them produce godly children. That's why God created marriage in the Garden of Eden. And then in the paradise, in the Garden of Eden, the marriage life is the climax of happiness. There was a food, gold, riches, beautiful garden, and fertile land, all this. But marriage life is the climax of man's happiness. So houses like this, men and women, and then they serve God. They serve God together. Happiness is byproduct of serving God together. Okay, next question. Question 8.
It's my turn. What does it mean that God made male and female? Chapter 10:6. But at the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
God made differently. We have
Okay.
different kinds.
So Jesus is explain the marriage in the original marriage in the Garden of Eden. God made male and female and brought them together as husband and wife. This means marriage is not male and male. It's not. Or female or female. It is not. God made male and female and made them husband and wife. Next question.
What kind of unity does it mean in chapter 10, verse 7? It say, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So man separated from parents and live with his wife in same place.
Yeah. So this is a marriage, unity. And then unity. You know, the son has a very close relationship with the parents. Inseparable love relationship. But once they get married, they make a unity. They make it one with her. She is a total stranger, totally stranger to him, but they will leave their parents and make it stronger, more intimate, closer relationship with her. They make unity with her. So more deeper, closer relationship than he had with his parents, make unity. So when they don't carry this into marriage life, this marriage unity will not, will be hindered. So must leave his father and mother and be united with her. Next question.
Does divorce said one free to marry another?
No, another one. Question 10.
10? What kind of based on 10?
Number 10.
What kind of unity does it mean in 10:8? And the two will become one flesh. That's the second new creation of flesh.
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 What does it mean? They shall become one flesh.
Sleep together.
That's right. How can you be? So, as a wife has a husband, they have to be one
one
in
flesh.
flesh.
This is a team meeting. They cannot sleep every day. They mean one flesh.
Not every day, but
One flesh.
but really this one family marriage life is really trouble. And the wife told me, wife and husband never touch each other last 7 years. 7 years. And then they have to be really, this means they have to sleep together. They have to sleep together. And then they cannot be one if they don't sleep together. One famous pastor, Baptist pastor in Dallas, he ordered all his church members have sex every night for 7 days that week. You know that, right?
Eddie.
I mean, it has some reason, because maybe in the church there are couples who really ignore this one, but even they shouldn't use different rooms. They have to use the same room, same bed, and have to sleep together. That's how they can become one in flesh. Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4 and 5.
1 Corinthians
Chapter 7, verse 4 and 5.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7?
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4 and 5.
The wife's body does not belong to her alone, but also to her husband. In the same way, the husband's body does not belong to him alone, but also to his wife. Do not deprive each other except by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control.
Yeah. So, Apostle Paul taught wife and husband should be always together, but they can separate for a certain time. That's the set time they need to pray. They need to pray. Then at that time, whole week, let's not sleep, and then let's pray or something like that. So then the period is over, and they should be got together again. So it's because once they get married, just my body is not my own, it's his. His body is mine too. So they own each other. They say, my body is mine, I do whatever I want to do. That's not the idea for marriage. Idea for marriage is your body is mine, my body is yours. So they shall be one flesh. Also, it means one in mind. How can we be, wife and husband, be one in mind?
They don't have any secret each other.
Yeah, no secret, because secret makes war. The mind is strange. If one partner keeps secret, we really feel the war. There's a division in there. So they cannot be one in mind. You have to be one in mind, and that is be honest to each other. keep no secret. Because mind has to be one too. Mind separate, it's not marriage. Before I got married, I studied Genesis chapter 2 and to learn about marriage, what's marriage. And then I said the last verse, the wife and husband were naked, but they were not ashamed. That means no secret. Nakedness, each other, no secret. So that's what I decided. I will not keep any secret to my husband. Yeah. Also, we have to be one in spirit. How can we be wife and husband be one in spirit?
Pray together and share the God's purpose of their life together.
Yeah.
Serving God.
Yeah.
Church together.
So, Bible study together, pray together.
Not people to religion.
Together, pray together. Pray together is really important. Pray together. So, over the years, their body is one, mind is one, and they have one spirit. They look alike. They look alike. Even they have one same look. One similar. You can say some couples in the picture, you can say, oh, this man, this woman is wife and husband, because they look alike.
I don't really agree. But sometimes, yes.
But they look alike. So it is becoming one. So marriage is totally two strangers. Man and wife meet together, totally strangers, in the course of becoming one. So it's God's will. They become one flesh. The two become one. That's marriage life. So it is like this, different. One person is very slow, one person is very fast, one person is very emotional, one person is very logical, one person is very, what else? What kind of comparison? They are totally different, but they become, year after year, they become one. And then they do not know, is my hand, your hand, is it your arm, my arm? They don't know, because they became one.
When they died separately.
Now, a lot of couple, they die very closely. Very closely. Yeah. But Some marriage is like a parallel. Don't become one. Don't become one. Demand. You should do this. You should do this. So, never become one. You know, I hear many women about their marriage life. Why this happens? A lot of times they had a dream before the marriage. And that one person said, I wanted to marry a man like my father. So her father is very caring, loving, and concerned, and loved her. So she always thought, I'm gonna marry a man, husband like my father. After she married, her husband was not like her father. So she was in agony. And her husband, I said, your husband is not your father. You didn't marry your father, you married your husband. But her mind was so hurt and then so disappointed. She wants her husband to be like her father. And it never ends. She came, or some woman, maybe, this man will make a lot of money. He will be a millionaire. Married, and then he didn't make any money. So she was really hurt, disappointed in life. So why I realized that many women marry, people marry with their dream. No, that's her dream. The reality is she married a totally different man. And so it's God's will. They gradually understand each other, become one. And there is paradise, happiness, unimaginable blessing, happiness when they become one. That's God's design for man's life. Or some marriages like this. They met totally different person, and then they got more spread out. Instead of coming close, they become father. And then so miserable. But this is what marriage life is. So how can we avoid this one, and have a marriage life as God designed to be? Silence.
What was the question?
How become like that picture?
That picture?
How you become like this one?
First you study what is marriage and understand we are sinners. We're all weak. And then that's how I follow the tracks that everybody different, and then yeah.
Really, you have to give up dream. You didn't marry dream. You married a man who is different, and then you have to be on the other side. You have to be on the other side. you stay in your own position and then demand, that will be really unable to understand. How can you understand? You're a totally different person. How can you understand this person? You have to be on this side. Your husband goes to work in the morning. At work, he goes through all kinds of troubles, stress, and then, and then he comes home exhausted. How exhausted? You cannot do anything, even cannot move the tongue. All he can do is eat food and then collapse.
Sleep.
Yeah. That should be able to understand. And then husband should be able to understand. You have to stand on the other side. Understand. So I was after 50. After 50, I began to understand my husband's side.
So it took how many years?
Yeah.
How many years? Almost 30 years to understanding.
I was on my own. I insist my own idea, own thinking, and demanded him. And then I prepared tea every morning, but one morning I forgot because I was so busy to take care of the children. And then he was coming out, and I realized tea was not ready, so I told him, sorry, I didn't have time to prepare tea for you. And he said, it's good that you know it, And he left, and he hurt my mind all day long. It hurt my mind. It was so sharp, and pain lingered in my mind all day long. Then I, thought about the other way. When I told him some sharp, painful word, how much his heart was hurt, and with the pain, he had to work all day long. Wow. Then afterwards, I began to stand on my husband's side, and we began to understand a lot better. But if we don't understand the other side, it's forever parallel, and it's going to even wider marriage life, So it is God's design. It is God's will. It is God's design. When He established marriage, the two will become one flesh, one. And here, just they are not aware of it's your hand, my hand, it's in my head, your head, they don't know. They are just one. And then there is unbelievable happiness in there. But in here, no happiness. In here, no happiness. Question 11.
Based on 10:9, what does the right of a divorce of a man or woman imply? Therefore, what God has joined together, let man not separate. So, no divorce at all.
So, marriage came from God, and God brought this man and woman together as wife and husband to be one flesh. So, can a man or woman has a right to divorce?
No.
above 5 said the Moses
Mm-hmm.
for men's the hard
Mm-hmm.
gave right to for divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Except that thing, God wants we will join together.
So in God's design in the beginning of marriage, there was no divorce in this concept. No divorce. Here is no divorce. This is two person, wife and husband, become one flesh forever. That's God's design. So how about one person is sick? Suppose have a Ebola or leprosy, and then have to be isolated. How about that?
That doesn't mean you need to do a divorce.
That's right.
Don't have to divorce both.
Or maybe separately.
Mm-hmm.
Just temporarily.
How about the quarrels, fighting? How about fighting?
Oh.
How about the differences? Okay, irreconcilability. Okay, this is very popular in our times. Irreconcilable.
In Korea, they always said 성격 차이.
Difference. This one is, always when celebrities divorce, this is always the reason of divorce.
In Korean family 화해할 수 없음. What? Inconcilability.
Inconcilability.
You cannot.
Irreconcilability. Or irreconcilable differences. That's the Hollywood divorce reason. But none of these can dissolve the marriage because God put them together. They are under God's will to become one. Let's read Malachi chapter 2, verses 13 through 16.
Malachi chapter 2,
Verse 13 and 16.
verse 13. Another thing you do, you flood the Lord's altar with tears. You weep and wail because he no longer pays attention to your offerings or accepts them with pleasure from your hands. And 16.
16.
I hate divorce,
Up to there.
says the Lord.
Yeah. In here, a man came to temple or synagogue, whatever, and he poured, tears. Why? Because God is not listening. His prayer is so weak. God doesn't answer his prayer. God doesn't accept his offerings, and he doesn't know why God doesn't listen to him. You know why? Because he was unfaithful to his wife. So, prayer, no matter how he cried before God, God said, Be faithful to your wife first. Then you pray. And so, straighten up your marriage life first, then your prayers will be powerful. Your God will be on your side. When man or woman is not faithful to their partner, God is not listening to their prayers, even though they pour out tears. And question 12.
Does the divorce set one free to marry another? Can one repeat divorce, marry as many times as he or she wants? What is under divorce marry?
Okay, first question. Does a divorce certificate set one free to marry another one?
The certificate. Yes.
Yes.
I always
Divorce?
say right answer.
Yeah. Divorce? Yay! I got rid of her or I got rid of him. And then free to remarry. So, free to remarry someone else. Soulmate. Yeah. It's legal. It's legal. They are free to remarry. How many times can do that?
As many as they want.
As many. Okay. A lot of celebrities marry 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. One actor said he even didn't remember the number 4 name.
Elizabeth Taylor? I don't know.
No, she knew all every husband.
11 times she did?
She married 7 times.
7 times.
Just 7 times. One time her husband died, only one time. But the rest are divorced, remarried, like that. I wonder why they stop. Don't keep on going. So, divorce, remarry, again, go down again, like that. What is under this divorce and remarry? It's legally perfectly right, but Jesus say what? When chapter 10 verse 11 and 12.
Verse 11 and 12 is our (11 and 12). He answered, anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commit adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another man, she commits adultery.
Yeah. So even though it is perfectly legal, divorce and remarry another one, underline is here adultery. Be here adultery. So it is legal, that doesn't mean it's okay in God's eyes. In Jesus' eyes, every time they divorce, remarry, they commit adultery. Let's read the Gospel Luke chapter 16, verse 18.
Gospel Luke.
Chapter 16. 18. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery, and the man who marries a divorced woman commits adultery.
Yeah.
18. Luke 16, verse 18. So not to commit adultery at first time marriage should be very, very serious.
Yeah. But you know what? Church is full of this kind of people. Full of.
The excuse. My eye was closed at the time, so I could not see well. I was blinded to love.
Okay. Okay, let's read the 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10 and 11.
1 Corinthians chapter
7, verse 10 and 11.
10 and 11. To the married I give this command, not I, but the Lord. A wife must not separate from her husband, but if she does, she must remain unmarried or else be reconciled to her husband, and the husband must not divorce his wife.
So, she divorced her husband?
Yes.
Okay. Apostle Paul recommends divorced woman. If any woman divorced, it said, try to reconcile with her previous husband.
Or remain unmarried.
Or remain single. And don't remarry, because remarry is adultery. So either remain single or try to reconcile with the divorced husband. Question 13.
What was the response of the disciples to the teaching of Jesus? 5. Let's see.
Matthew, Gospel Matthew.
10, 19.
19:10.
19. The disciples said to him, if this is the situation between a husband and wife, it is better not to marry? Wow, good question.
Because, Jesus say doesn't allow divorce, and disciples say, wow, this is too hard. If I'm stuck with the undesirable woman, I have to suffer all my life, and it's better not to marry. Even I noticed some people, even before they marry, if this one doesn't work, divorce and then move to another one. Even before they marry, they have that kind of idea. But disciples have the same thing. If this woman is not right, they want to jump to the other one. But Jesus' teaching was very firm. Jesus said, divorce was not designed in God's, marriage design. It was nothing, like a divorce. And then disciples said, well, if that is the case, it's better not to marry. Question 14.
Jesus says, sin is sin, adultery is adultery. What has Jesus done for these sins?
He died on the cross.
Yeah. We have so many, we are surrounded by too many divorced, remarried families. Too many. And I never heard any preaching sermon that divorced, remarry is adultery. I never heard. Whatever they do, as you are, welcome, So really, sin was not treated as a sin. But Jesus says that divorce and marry another one is adultery. Jesus clearly pointed out it is a sin. It is adultery. But it is not criticism. They have to be aware of their spiritual condition. They have to be aware of their own life. God is not pleased. They are in sin. But when they confess, I have sinned, then Jesus will, give forgiveness. And Jesus will give a new life. So let's go back to the question 5. Now we can discuss about it. Why couldn't they trap Jesus with their question? They tried to trap Jesus with Moses' law. Moses' divorce law. Why couldn't they trap Jesus?
Because they answer by themselves. So it couldn't be the trap at all. Because they say answer.
That's right. That's right. Jesus always go to the fundamental truth. And then about the divorce, Jesus went to Genesis, God's truth. God's design of marriage. This was given because man's hardness, man's wickedness. But this is the fundamental truth. Jesus didn't argue with this one. Jesus brought in fundamental truth. When you want to win your argument, you have to be on fundamental truth. This one is not fundamental truth. So they couldn't defeat Jesus because Jesus' truth is based on God's truth. one time my nursing director called to me and said, Kim, you have a lot of life experience, so maybe you can give me advice. And then she had an argument with the patient, and she told me all the stories. So I told her, this is gonna go longer. You are not gonna win. You will lose. Because patient had a principle, hospital policy, and nursing director had authority as a nursing director. So who's gonna win? Those who have a principle, fundamental principle will win. So I said, you're not gonna win this argument. If I were you, I will apologize to him. I'm sorry, I did wrong. And then I will get out of this argument as soon as possible. She listened and she apologized to patient and she came out of the trouble. So we always have to hold the Bible truth. And then this one, their motive was wrong. We always have to learn God's truth. Okay, today Bible study up to here.